All right, you guys, welcome back to the Creative Rise podcast. We're so glad you're here. I'm here with our guest, Joey Spears. I had this idea to do a podcast where I wanted to just ask Joey any question that I want or that our listeners wanted, and he doesn't get to know any of the questions beforehand. So welcome, Joey, to my podcast.
I'm completely blind. I have no idea what Christy's going to ask, but
I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
This is going to be great. We're going to give you like tactical questions, some deep questions, some funny questions. It's going to be great. And you promise to be honest on every question.
Fully honest.
Okay, amazing. Well, if you guys are new here,
which feels dangerous.
Which feels dangerous.
No idea what you're gonna ask.
Joey and I host this podcast, the Creative Rise podcast. We also have Creative Rise, and it's a education platform for creatives, teaching you how to do business on the business side of your creative business. So we're so glad you're here. Weekly podcast. We're switching it up today, and we hope that you guys have a lot of fun because I know I will have a lot of fun. But Joey, you ready to get started?
Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm going to treat you like a guest. So we'll start with rapid fire. Where are you from? What's your creative business?
Joey from Northern California, originally from Midhurst, Ontario, Canada.
Woo woo.
And my creative business is a brand strategy and content agency.
And how old were you when you started your business?
14.
14.
Grade 9.
You weren't just playing with Legos. I don't know. Do 14-year-olds play with Legos? Yeah. That's pretty young.
I used to love Lego when I was really young. But
okay, is it Lego or Legos?
It's Lego. It's
okay.
like moose. Moose is the plural of moose. Lego is the plural of Lego. I can't stand people that say Legos.
I think
I'm not even a Lego fan anymore.
I have
but I'm just
always
saying
said Legos.
That icks me. It's not Legos.
Okay, well, that's the first question. And okay, you've been since 14. What's a flop you've had in your business? What's an embarrassing story, an embarrassing moment? Give us something juicy.
Which one are you wanting me to tell?
You get to choose. This is your guest episode.
Okay. Flop. Well, I could tell you about the time I didn't get paid shooting for one of the world's largest brands, or I could tell you about a time I crashed a drone.
Do that
one.
Okay. That's a more embarrassing one.
The year is probably 2000 and maybe 2017.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe 2017. No, 2015. 2015. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 2015, and I got hired by a college in Toronto, a beautiful old historic college in Toronto with beautiful old historic buildings. And they hired me to come shoot a video of their property. So I get there. I meet with the guy in the morning, the guy who's running all their marketing. And he's like, hey, here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover this, this, and this. You brought your drone? I'm like, yes, check. You brought your camera? Yes, check. Awesome, we're ready to go. I was super excited. Now, I was really young. Like, I was a teenager at this time. I don't even think I'd been driving for that long. I'm just like driving myself down to Toronto. And if you have any context on where I'm from north of Toronto. I didn't go down to the city much. Didn't grow up going down to the city much. So I'm like, this is like a big boy day. Like driving down to the big city. I got all my camera gear. I get there, and our first location, he goes, why don't we start here? Because the sun was still really, really harsh outside because it was like that bright, really, really bright morning sun. So he's like, why don't we wait to shoot more of the outside property a little bit later on? Let's start with the indoor, beautiful, 100-plus-year-old cathedral church. And I said, great, let's do it. Easy. So he goes, can you fly your drone in here? And I said, great, let's do it. Easy, right? Now, for context, this was probably 2015. The drones that were out on the market at the time were like the Phantom series, which were horrible. They drop out of the sky. And that was it, other than the Inspire series. And this is all from DJI. So I had the Inspire one, which there's a whole other story on how I got the Inspire one at the age of 15. It's crazy. But I had an Inspire one, which for anybody that doesn't know what that is, at the time that was like a $4,000, maybe $5,000-$6,000 drone.
Wow.
And yeah, it was like the price of a car. It's crazy. And it's massive. It was like this big.
Wow.
So I launched this thing, and it's in like it looks like a carry-on, not carry-on, it looks like a travel suitcase, like one you like check. It's a massive like case. Anyways, I launched this drone, and I'm feeling super good about it.
Were you feeling confident when he was like, you can fly this inside, yes, and you said yes? Were you BSing?
I had 100% confidence in myself. I had probably like a 45% confidence in the drone. And the reason why is because in 2015, drones were nothing like they were today. Like my Inspire one, I've got 20 stories of it dropping out of the sky, landing on people, it launching and flying into people and cutting people's
And yet when he
pants up.
asked you, do you feel confident? You said, absolutely.
So anyways, we launched this drone. I launched this drone. I'm all by myself. It's just me and this guy. And I think there was like 2 people from the school, me and 2 people from the school. And I launched this drone. It is like beautiful old wooden pews, stained glass everywhere. I mean, this is a beautiful old church, okay? The whole thing's just stone. It's one of those like skinny European looking like stone Catholic churches. So I launched this puppy in there. I launched my drone, and it's going good for maybe like the first like 2.5 minutes. I'm flying it around. And the thing about the Inspire 1, the early days of the DJI Inspire 1 that most people don't understand now, because drones are just so good, is that they would lose GPS signal, which means they'd lose their GPS lock, and it would just start drifting. And you would have to fly it to stop it from drifting. Well, sometimes when it would lose complete signal, it would just do whatever it wanted to do, and you couldn't control it. So that had happened to me a few times. So anyways, I get this drone up. We're flying it around. All of a sudden, I'm flying it like right down the middle of the church, and it just goes like no signal, and it flies itself into the wall, smashes the wall, falls maybe like 5 or 6 feet down to the ground, flips upside down. It's upside down, and it's going like spinning like crazy, and I can't get the drone to turn off. And this was back in the day when the only way you could turn off this DJI Inspire 1, especially if it didn't have signal, was you had to physically touch the button on the drone.
That's crazy.
So nowadays, you just turn off the drone via the remote, right? But my remote wasn't connected to the drone. So this drone's like maybe 50 feet away, upside down, going crazy, flying at full speed into the corner of the wall.
Was it marking the walls?
Yeah, so it burnt a black mark onto the floor, and it burnt a black mark onto the side of the wall, and it was cutting up the wall, okay? So it's horrible. It starts like smoking, and then catches like itself on fire, gets really hot, and the battery catches on fire, and then here's the other problem. I had to go in there, frantically running over. I had to stick my hand like around the props, the propellers, and try and double click the button, boop, boop, and then you hold it, and then it goes doo-doo-doo, and it turns off. Well, I got that. It got done, but it shredded my arm in the process. The props were going full speed, and it fully cut my arm up. So my arm's now bleeding everywhere. I've burnt like fire rings onto the side of the wall, onto the floor. And literally, I packed up my drone. Like, I grabbed the drone, and he looked at me. He's like, hey, yeah, we'll like, why don't you go get that sorted out?
Why don't you go home?
He was super nice about it, but he's basically like, why don't you go home? And there's more to this story because I ended up going to the only place I could find that fixed drones like these in Toronto at the time. And it was like this drone operator's house that like, it was like a drone like store. Like he fixes drones. It was a drone store online. Yeah. You show up to the place. We're in a total middle of a residential neighborhood and it's really kind of a sketchy neighborhood. And I'd rock up and I call the guy. I'm like, hey man, like I don't see your store. I think the address is wrong. It took me to some residential neighborhood in Scarborough. If you're from the area, you know what I'm talking about. It was like a sketchy neighborhood in Scarborough. He's like, no, this is me. And I go and I knock on his door. He opens the door. He's smoking a cigarette. Just really skinny old dude smoking a cigarette. And he has drones everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Thousands of drones all over his floor. Like you had to walk. It was like walking over Lego. You had to like walk and like walking over all this drone stuff. And I had to sit in his house as he smoked cigarettes and talked to me. And I'm allergic to cats. Cats everywhere. And I had to sit there with him for like 7 hours. No joke. I heard his whole life story 5 times.
Wow. But he fixed the drone.
Yeah. And then I sank it in the river like 4 weeks later. My best friend actually sank it. He was filming me. And then I put it in rice for 4 days. And then I sold it.
Wow.
It worked again, and I sold this thing off.
Got to get this cursed drone.
Anyways, that's a long flop story, but
that's a good one.
I have a lot of flop stories with that drone. That drone, like there's something every time I launch a drone now, and I've been flying drones for over a decade now. Yeah. Every time I launch a drone still, I just get this little pit in my stomach of like, what could go wrong? Even though I know these drones now are so good, I haven't had any issues with drones in 8 years.
You're scarred. You're scarred. Oh my gosh, that's all right.
All right, moving
on.
Wow,
that's a great flop. Okay, give us a brief, like less than 2 minute history of just your business. Like when you were 14, what did you start all the way to now? Just a brief history.
Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit further. So grew up, very typical story on what you'd hear. Like didn't like school, wasn't good at school, was getting in trouble. Parents go take me to a doctor. Oh, yeah, he has learning disabilities. He has ADHD. He has a processing disorder. So I struggled with school because the school system didn't obviously fit the way that I was programmed to learn. So Pretty early on, I can remember, I don't ever actually remember having aspirations to do anything other than becoming a firefighter. But that was like really when I was little. But as I grew up, I didn't have any aspirations to ever go get a job. Jobs just didn't sound fun to me. Yeah, didn't sound fun to me. So what happened was I was really into extreme sports, really into filming what we were doing, me and my friends, what we were doing. It was a lot of fun. Started making videos probably at the age of like 8, maybe. I had like a Kodak shockproof thing pre-GoPro, before GoPros came out. It was kind of like a little GoPro. Anyways, used to make tons of videos. I'll speed all this up. But because I had a learning disability, the school put me in like a special class where I would get a bunch of extra help, and they gave me a laptop, a school laptop. And because I was in this class, this special class, and I got a laptop, it didn't help me do school better, but what it did help me was I downloaded Windows Live Movie Maker, and I got obsessed with making videos because I no longer had to try and go on my parents' computer when I got home to make videos. I could make videos from my own laptop when I was in like grade like 6. So I'm like 12 and I'm making my own videos literally every day. Come home from school, make a video. We go out biking, we go out skateboarding, we go out skiing, we go out cliff jumping, doing whatever, slacklining, and I'll come home every day and make a video. So I got really obsessed with that. By the time I hit age of like being able to kind of mature into that a little bit, started going really hard after the idea of working with brands. I was an athlete and I was able to figure out how to get some sponsors as an athlete. And then the content stuff that I was doing really kind of helped fuel that for me and all my friends. So we'd just start passing the camera around and filming each other. And so from a young age, like probably like 13 through 15, me and my group of friends really got to see what it was like to work with brands as an athlete. And then most of my friends ended up being way better than I was and getting bigger brands. And I would start helping them on some of those deals by doing like all the content stuff. So I got exposed to the power of really influencing, which was like using athletes to promote products. And I got exposed to the power of content and early social media game for brands, like when brands would jump on social, helping brands go digital. So anyways, that was my education. I like to say like that was the education that I actually grew up in. I spent all my time thinking about that, all my time thinking about athletics and content and how those two worlds intersected. And then that ended up getting me really involved in the outdoors world, not just from an athletics perspective, but like camping, hiking, backpacking, all that fun stuff. So anyways, 14, I start my business. I start getting paid by family, friends, and some of my friends' brands that they were sponsored by, and some brands that I was getting sponsored by as an athlete. Started to get paid to do little photo shoots, little video shoots, and help people set up social media accounts. So did all that. By the age of like 16, I'm now halfway through high school, or a little bit more than halfway through high school. And I'm like, this is all I'm ever going to do. Like, there's no way I ever get a job. I'm going to figure this thing out. I love it. And there's so much opportunity here. And it actually felt, this is one of the cool things. This is getting a little bit long. But this is one of the cool things. I felt like my age was a massive advantage. Yeah. Like it didn't feel like I was walking into rooms going, oh, hey, I'm a 16-year-old. I just left math class and I'm coming because we have a meeting and I'm coming to talk about doing some videos for your business. And I wasn't there trying to prove all the reasons why someone should respect what I do because I'm so young. It felt like I was coming into rooms being like, hey, because I'm so young, I understand this stuff in a way you guys don't because you guys haven't caught on yet. And so it was really cool. So I feel like my early years were a lot of that, getting exposed to that. And that's really what felt like a lot of my education from a very practical sense. So yeah, started the business at 14. It took me 5 years to hit my first 6 figures, which sounds cool when you hit 6 figures as a 19-year-old, but when it took you 5 years to do it, made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of things wrong. A lot of what we talk about at Creative Rise is things that I did wrong for years. So yeah, ended up doing all that photo, video, helping people get on social. So a little bit of social media management, some like ad management. We were building websites. So a little bit of like a full stack digital agency. And I started hiring some of my friends to help me out on a bunch of stuff. And that was a ton of fun. And then as I got more into that, I got a little bit more obsessed with like the bigger picture on like how does photo and video content actually play into the bigger picture of brand strategy and marketing strategy. So I started also consulting when I was about 18, 19. And that's what I do now.
And that's what he does now. It's awesome. I love that. Okay. What is one thing about you specifically that you think attributed to success? Like when you think about things that have gone really well in business, what's one personality trait about you that you felt like led to success?
Well, this is pretty specific to me, but it was probably my differences as a kid. Like I felt like I had my back up against the wall and like, okay, all these other kids are excelling through this program called school. And it's hard for me. It's not easy. I don't enjoy this. I don't sit still. I get in trouble a lot. I can't seem to figure out how to just like do it the way it's like. Even one of my best friends growing up, brilliant kid. He was like one of my best friends growing up. He's so smart. Everything was just super easy for him. And so I feel like I constantly had to, as a little kid, and whether it was super conscious or it more became something that was like, oh yeah, that was definitely happening, more of a conscious thing as I matured, I had to constantly look at things and go, how does this apply to me? What can I pull out of this? And how do I use this for myself? So I feel like I had to teach myself a little bit of like, how do I pull application out of things? And because I'm teaching myself to like pull application out of things, I think it taught me to look for holes and look for ways I could provide solutions for myself. And I think that really programmed my brain to be like that. And so as I started working with brands, I realized that's what I started doing. You know, it was like, wow, I can look at a company, I can look at our companies, I can look at anyone we work with Creative Rise, and immediately I can start to see all the holes.
Yeah.
And I can think about very practical, tangible solutions to start fixing a lot of these problems. And I think it's because I felt like I had a lot of problems growing up. There was a lot more friction on my path towards progression from a like education perspective.
Totally.
And so I had to learn how to navigate and deal with friction. You know, so yeah, I think that's a little bit, it's not unique to me. There's a lot of people that listen to this podcast. I think a lot of creatives probably fall in a similar boat to me, but it's probably different than you.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. I mean, you probably rocked school. You know what I mean?
No, I was like actually kind of average. I was like in the middle of the pack.
You're smart. Yeah, there we go.
I like that. Okay, what's one belief you've had that you have been utilizing over the last 5 years that you've realized is bogus? Like if you've
bogus.
been, yeah, like you
I
have.
got it. Yeah. That every dollar you make is yours to keep.
Explain that.
So I feel like I have been mismanaging. In a lot of ways, I feel like I've been mismanaging our business growth because I feel like in a lot of times I got used to at a young age making a decent amount of money that it felt like sometimes it felt like I always had enough to kind of like reinvest into stuff, reinvest back into the business, that it just seemed like the business was kind of growing. But now that we're at a point where business growth for us now between you and I requires bigger investments to make bigger strides because there's just bigger problems to solve. As your business gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you're not able to dish out like, oh, let's just dish out $1,000 here and watch us grow another 25% this year. You can do that when you're making 25 grand a year. You can do that when you're making 50 grand a year sometimes, or even like your first 100K. But when you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year between the businesses you run, it's like sometimes we're going to need to like reinvest like 50, 80 grand into something, whether it's a new team member, a new person, coding stuff, new systems, like opportunity with AI, like, you know. And I think for a while, I just had a conversation with someone about this who's a mentor of mine last week, and it was just a good reminder. I was like, dude, I'm thinking about every dollar we make. Obviously it's like, yeah, we put away money for this, we put away money for that, there's tax, but like I feel like I've been in a little bit of a headspace recently where like, oh, I think about that as like, that's our income. Rather than being like, no, that's our business revenue. And then we need to pay ourselves a salary out of that, which we do. We need to pay ourselves a salary out of that. And everything else I should be taking and cycling back into the business.
Yeah.
And I feel like with you and I buying a house here in California, it's expensive. And just like the last 5 years, like the cost of living has just gone so much higher. Everyone listening to this podcast would agree with that. I just feel like I've fallen into this little bit of a thought process where it's like I've taken my foot off the gas on considering how we can utilize our money as employees rather than just like, oh yeah, we earned that, we paid out what we had to pay, and the rest is ours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think I did a really good job of not doing that in the very early stages, and I think that helped me grow. my business. And then when we came together, I think we did that well. But I think you and I have kind of taken our foot off the gas a little bit like that in the last like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think it's time we do that again. So,
Well, great.
but that was a
Let's
big
do it.
realization the other day. I'm like, dude, I got to get back to that. So,
I love it. Okay. What's the weirdest request or inquiry or something you've gotten from a client?
well, it wasn't really a request until I showed up. I didn't know what I was shooting until I showed up. So it wasn't like, oh, here's a weird request in the inbox. Do I want to do this or not? I got a call from a client of mine. Her name is Jen. She was awesome. We still follow each other on social media. Shout out to Jen. She's so cool.
Shout out, Jen.
And she runs an agency. And she's like, hey, I need you. It was like pretty last minute. She's like, I need you on this date. Like, just come. It's for a client of mine. You guys are going to do great. I'll tell you about it when you get here. And she's like, we just need this type of video. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it sounds like a bunch of the other work what we've done together. That's cool. I'll show up. So I get my buddy James, and I'm like, James, I'm hiring you for the day. Come on out. Let's do this. And we show up to shoot a headlining film and some social cuts. And it was a female product, I guess you could say, medical product. And it tightens women's pelvic floors by helping them do Kegels. It's called the Kegel Throne. And I'm like, I think I'm like 18 at tops when this happened. I had no idea what a Kegel was. No idea what a Kegel Throne
probably no
was.
idea what a pelvic floor was either.
I had no idea what a pelvic floor was. And so me and James just rock up and we're 18 and we're like,
some good education right
like,
there.
what is going on? And we sat there and we had to film women of all ages, basically like 18 and up, all the way to maybe like 70 years old. We had to film them sitting on this Kegel throne and experiencing what a Kegel throne does.
And we'll leave it at that. I actually love that you went through that. I feel like that's really great, like education.
It was really funny. We really laughed about it. And then we actually tried it. I made James sit on it first. I was like, James, you're going to go try this thing?
Yes.
And he sat on it first and he was like, oh, whoa. Anyway.
All right.
Shout out to James Klatt.
Shout out to Jen and James. What's a scar you carry from your entrepreneurial journey? What's something that's happened that has shaped you? And potentially it was negative when it first happened, but now it's shaped you into the entrepreneur you are today.
A scar. Probably. There was probably something. There's probably two things that I think about the most. One, and I don't know when this would have come from. I don't know if there was something I did. Very well, it could have been something I did that turned out poorly because I didn't fully deliver on what I said I was going to deliver on when I was really young. I don't know if that happened, but I feel like I just have this real fear of like, I will not underdeliver for clients. Like I always want to overdeliver. I want to overdeliver with quality. I want to overdeliver with communication. I want to overdeliver with hitting deadlines on time. I want to overdeliver with like just like customer service and making it a great experience. And I feel like there's something. I don't know. I can't think of a story on where I maybe would have dropped the ball on that.
But
there's probably something where I was pretty young and I got hired to do a project
unhappy client
and it just didn't go well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also the time that I worked with Uber and I didn't get paid, which is a longer story. But that was that could have been solved by a good contract, and I didn't have a contract. It was super last minute. Really
so now
last
you're
minute.
hyper clear.
It was like same week. Yeah. So like really clear on like get a, statement of work in there or get a contract. But yeah, that was a crazy story too.
Yeah.
There's some OG like Instagrammer influencer people that if I told that story would maybe resonate with me because I think the people that I got screwed over with screwed over a couple people in the industry. So
wow, maybe a different podcast. What's one system, tool, something you use that saves your sanity every day in business? What's a tool, system, workflow?
That saves my sanity. I feel like it's just ChatGPT now. I use it for everything. Like I don't use Google.
I know.
I just like pull up ChatGPT for everything and I'll talk to ChatGPT. I love that. But I think about over the years, what's been a tool. The biggest tool is You know what the biggest tool's probably actually been over the years?
Me.
Probably been my dad
I was gonna say
and
me.
you. Like prior to you, it was probably just my dad. Like my dad worked from home, and so when I was a teenager, I would just walk upstairs into his office and I would just ask him any question I had. Like if it was like, hey, this email just came in, how do I respond to this? Or can you help me proofread this contract? Is there anything you think I should change or add? And it was really fun.
Shout
and
out Bob
super helpful.
Spears.
So shout out to my dad.
We love
Because I
Bob.
feel like so much of my early exposure to things, I was bringing it all to my dad and being like, what do I do? What do I do? Which was amazing.
That's great.
Some cool stuff.
I love that. What makes a dream client versus a nightmare one for you specifically?
Yeah. A dream client is someone who understands that nickel and diming and penny pinching on a budget actually will hurt their return on investment and their long-term gain from something, where clients I don't enjoy working with as much are clients that are constantly trying to scrape the bucket of what they think they've spent, and they're trying to come back, oh wait, do we also get this? Do we also get that? And I've tried really hard to make sure I eliminate a lot of that in like the pre stuff or in defining like what the scope of work is going to be. But yeah, I feel like I don't have that many disaster clients anymore, because I feel like I've just gotten good at sniffing it in the sales process. And I'm like, I give it some really good thought on like, okay, are we going to do this? Or are we not? If I take this client on, I'm assuming they're going to act like this. Because you really learn like how someone does a financial deal with you, like how they buy from you really dictates what that relationship's going to look like. Like if you throw out a number and it's just like penny pinching and they're negotiating with you like crazy. Like it's like, I'm like, dude, like if you're going to negotiate this hard and we haven't even started working together yet, like what is it going to look like when I start actually delivering stuff to you? You know? So I think I'm pretty cautious of that. So dream clients are clients who are like, hey, what does it cost?
Yeah.
I want a quote. I might take it somewhere else and see if I can get a better quote, but what does it cost? You know, we know the return on this, and we're going to look for the best return in terms of how much we have to invest to get this done. But if that's the price, and here's what the quality of work is going to look like, here's the timeline, you guys are going to kill it here. I like clients that are just like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I like clients who take a risk on us, who feel like they're taking a risk.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I respond really well to that, and I really respect that, and I go, we are going to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Because they've just been easy to deal with.
Totally. If you were standing on a stage in front of every single growing creative business entrepreneur in the world, and you only had one piece of advice to be able to give to them, what would it be?
The person that can most clearly define a client's problem always gets permission to solve it.
Boom,
So
boom.
you've got to learn how to be a problem solver. Too many people get so focused on what they're creating in the creative space, what they're creating being a byproduct of something that's going to benefit them. Oh, I loved that project. It was a really fun project for me. I want to get paid by a brand to go do this. And they focus so much on themselves, and what they then miss is the part of the puzzle that everything you do in business is simply solving a problem for somebody to help them gain pleasure, avoid pain, or gain status. Very cliche, but it's very true. And when you can start to learn how to problem solve and go, how does my art become a product that then solves a problem for somebody or creates opportunity for somebody, something, or for a brand, that's when your whole brain switches and you start to see the world through that lens of everything I'm looking at is I'm seeing holes and I'm serving them, solving problems. And that felt like I got lit on fire as a kid, because I felt like I learned that before I felt like a lot of the people that I was around / were my age maybe got that, and it felt like it unlocked a lot of opportunities for me that were really, really cool. And still to this day, I think that's really true. I think the person who can really clearly define a problem will get a lot of trust in that, and the client will give them permission to solve it.
It's awesome.
So if you're pitching quotes, if you're pitching projects right now and people are like, oh, thanks, man, but they're not giving you any budget, you're not getting any deals, it might be because somebody else is beating you in clearly defining what that client is up against or what the client's trying to achieve from an opportunistic standpoint. And if you can help rally around them and go, here's where you guys are wanting to go, or here's what you guys are trying to avoid. Here's how my service is going to help you do that. The person who does it the best always wins.
All right. Final 2 questions. The first one being, how do you stay encouraged as a business owner? Like when you get down, what's the thing that pops you back up?
I think it's, for me, it is finding encouragement in other people, like borrowing that. So if I'm down, if I'm having a week of, gosh, we missed out on that deal, or, this person wants to cancel this contract, if this person, whatever, anything could happen, it's probably just reaching out to people and not doing it alone, because we all have the ups, so we all have the downs. And I think one of the lies that I probably believed early on, I think a lot of people that we get to work with Creative Rise believe, is that once you hit a certain point, things just keep going.
Yeah.
And it gets easier and it gets easier and easier. But the very real truth is, like, as your business gets bigger, so do your problems. And you need people. You need people to get through that. So you and I have got a bunch of good friends that are a phone call away, that we FaceTime all the time.
Yeah. Who are your top 3 people that you call and why?
Well, obviously you.
Okay,
you
but besides.
Yeah. Besides you, my dad would be one of them. Shout out to Bob. I've been, having really, really great conversations about problem solving, whether it's around getting encouraged again, whether it's around strategy stuff, anything. My whole life has been that. It's been awesome. Yeah. He's the best. Brody Pearson, shout out to Brody. Chris Tompkins, shout out to Chris. He's just super smart as well. So those are probably my 3 guys that, if we need some additional support on something, I feel like we're making a call, or I'm making a call to one of those 3 guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Solid guys. Final question, signature question of the show. Why is it all worth it? Why is it worth the creative struggle? Why is it worth to break it? Why is it worth it to you?
I think when you finally realize that being able to do something like this, like it's a random Tuesday, you and I are sitting together, we get to spend, by our choice, we get to spend every waking hour of every day together, right? Like you and I spend so much of our time together. We get to work together. My dog is walking, Bogey's walking
in front of the
straight
camera. I do this so that my dog can walk in front of the camera while I'm recording.
Getting to sit here and hang out with our dog, right? But seriously, I think that there's something very special about building something together, you and I, as like a husband-wife. Yeah. And outside of that, I think there's just something really special about Bogey's just full on in the shot right now.
Just the
He's
star
waking
of the show.
up. Yeah. I think there's something really special about getting to build something and getting to figure out how you can give value to people. Like if I think all the way back to the beginning of my story and in parts of this podcast, there was a lot of my life early on in my childhood where I was like, man, I feel like I'm going to school. I feel like in a lot of ways I'm getting beat up, not physically, but I'm getting beat up as in like, it's not easy for me. I'm getting in trouble. Other kids are excelling in certain ways that it's just unnatural for me, Yeah. And then I would go after school as a young kid and I would get to like help out at a ski resort shooting some videos, or help out at a friend, like a family friend's business, shooting some videos or shooting some photo. And to see the response in that and to be like, wow, this was so valuable. This is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
To be able to see like, wow, like what I do is he's just still full on in the shot. He's awake, guys. He's awake. He's woken up. I'm so sidetracked here. Okay.
Keep going.
So
it's
my
great.
point is that why it's all worth it, figuring out how to take what you love, productize it, turn it into value, and then see people benefit from it is one of the most confidence boosting, fulfilling things ever. Whether it's me as a young kid helping my friends with videos that was getting them sponsored, so fulfilling. Whether it's me as a somewhat older teenager starting to work with brands, helping brands get online, shooting product stuff, helping with product launches, doing photo and video content, super fulfilling. As I got into my early 20s, helping people rebrand, launch big brands, like figure out really big strategic marketing and branding problems, super fulfilling.
Yeah.
Creative Rise stuff, helping people build a foundation so they can build their own 6-figure business, like super fulfilling, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that gives me a bounce through life where I just feel like, man, like I'm so grateful and so lucky that we get to do these things. And a lot of it really comes down to, yes, the freedom to choose where we live, work when we want to work, influence our own paychecks by how hard or how little we work. Like those are all phenomenal things. And those are absolutely reasons why you should want to work for yourself. But I think the biggest one is just like, there was a really real need in me to become a person of value when I feel like I lived a lot of my early childhood life, specifically relating to school, where I was like, I'm not good at this. I'm not valuable in this. I'm not good at these things. And when I finally figured out what I was valuable at and how I could apply myself to create that value and really impact people, I mean, it was amazing. It was like one of the greatest things. Maybe this is a little bit of parenting advice. I don't even have a kid, but I'm like, that's going to be something that I'm going to work so hard to help my kid figure out is like, how do we, when you and I finally have kids, like, how do we help our children figure out really early on, like, where they can provide value? Because I think you get really addicted to seeing other people benefit from things that you're creating in the world. And I think that's a really, really cool thing. So
absolutely,
I think there's a lot of people that wake up and go work jobs every day where they feel like either they're not contributing value or they feel like the value they're contributing doesn't excite them. Yeah. And I think it's a really special thing to get to wake up every day and go, I've created a life and I've created a business where I get to give value to people in a way that is really fun and really fulfilling for me. And not only is it benefiting from that because it's fun, but it's also just extremely valuable for people. Yeah. And that's a really beautiful thing. So
I love it.
That in itself, I think, is worth taking a crack at trying to work for yourself, because that's a really cool thing to experience.
Absolutely.
Cool way to live life.
Well, Joey, thanks for being on our podcast. Thanks for being on our
every
podcast.
Other episode of the podcast. Hey, we're going to flip this on
great,
you.
Though.
We're going to flip this on you. We're going to flip this on you. We're going to do an episode and I'm going to ask you questions. It's going to be hard to not use some of these questions because those are good questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Well, you did a great job answering them.
Yeah. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this, let us know. Like, shoot us a message on Instagram, or just give the
I kind of want to do it again. I feel like after this conversation, I'm like, oh, I have so many other questions now. So
really?
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Why don't we just keep going?
No, we'll save it. We'll save it.
Okay.
All right, you guys.
We'll catch you next week.
Yes.
From me, Joey, Christine, the rest of the team behind Creative Rise makes this all happen. So glad you're here. Hopefully something from this episode you can take and apply this week, and it can actually help you in your business, which is really cool. So that's our goal. That's our hope. And we'll see you guys next week.